So I'm going to do a quick video on this Harbor Freight benchtop sandblasting cabinet that I bought about a year and a half ago. There are tons of videos online for all different kinds of mods, metering valves, vortex, dust bunny, whatever you want to call it, dust collectors, which is in that orange bucket right there. I'll talk about that in a minute. Lots of different ways to set up the hoses and the lighting and the different ventilation for it. It actually works really great. Again, it's certainly not for your professional, you're doing a lot of stuff, big equipment, obviously it's fairly small, things like that. But you know, I got a little, very small shop here. There's this sandblasting, there's the compressor for it, and there's the oven for the powder coating, and there's the boost. So it's pretty jankily set up, fully admittedly, but you know, it works great for me for the couple things I'm doing. I'm restoring an 81 CJ7 Jeep, and for all the different brackets and things like that, the whole setup works fantastic. So I just want to talk a little bit about a couple of the things that I've done. I got some of these, or most of these, off the internet and watching different YouTubers as well. So just first of all, the light. There is no light that comes with the cabinet. I think either the stand-up one, there's a stand-up one, and then also this is the benchtop one. So I just have myself a little light here. I didn't want to have a lot of cords anywhere. I wanted it on the outside so it doesn't get spray, it doesn't get sort of that sheen that makes it less clear. So I just have this here, and I turn this off. I just replace the batteries, so that's with it off. So there's still a fair amount of light from my shop lights. And then there's with it on. So I can see reasonably well with that. Again, it's just like a little, I don't know, I think I got this at Harbor Freight, a little husky light thing. Takes a couple rechargeable batteries so I don't burn through a bunch of batteries. So taking a look at the inside here, it's pretty basic. Again, this thing works great. I took the grate out. Let me show you the grate. There's a grate that goes there that everything sits on. Let me see here if I can find it. So this grate right here is nice. I mean, you can sit all your stuff on it. You can put it to the side. It stays out of the medium that you're working with. But one thing for me was it was sort of got in the way a little bit. I didn't have as much room just for comfort. I'm fairly tall, so I have this standing on my table saw. And just for my comfort, I'm standing up. I didn't want to hunch over while I'm working here. Putting my hands down a little bit further kind of helps, and it's a little bit more comfortable. Also, another benefit of it is that I'm able to, so this is, you know, some people you put in metering valves underneath and things like that. I just have the hose stuck right here. So this is the pickup tube. This is the pickup tube right here, and I just have in there. And what has a tendency to happen is that all the material gets up on the edges, on the sides, and you could, you know, I could keep filling it up. I actually do need to get some more media now, but you can keep filling up. But you know, this, after it sucks it up, it starts to expose the end here, and I have to keep adjusting this. You know, it doesn't happen very often, but you go through a lot of stuff. So yeah, I just have it off there. It's just more comfortable. I can adjust that because otherwise this thing is, you know, there's a little cutout either there or in the back corner there for this to come through the grate. But I just find it works better for me without the grate. It really has no impact. I just set whatever I'm working on right on top there. I just pick it up with the gloves and I just go to town on it. So it works reasonably well. Also, it doesn't come with any hoses or any disconnects. So what I did was, there's a hole back here for it. I had my original tube coming from the compressor, so that red tube right there is draped all over, and it comes from the compressor. I had it stuck in there, but then, you know, you have to disconnect everything and pull the tube out if you want to use the compressor or that tube for something else. So what I'd recommend, and what I did is, it was like $10 or $15, is I just bought like a 6-foot extension. This is 1/4 inch, just regular tubing for a compressor. And so I just bought a 6-foot piece, and then also a male to female adapter here. So this just has the quick connects. I can disconnect that if I need to. But then from the back here, so here I can just disconnect this. If I want to use this, like when I go to do the powder coating, I just pull this right out. And then I can just use this for whatever else I want to use it for. So again, that kind of works well for me. Another mod that I did that people talk about is that these right here to replace, and you will have to replace this little sheeting there. There's a, it gets sandblasted. You can kind of see it there a little bit. It's just like a little plastic sheet. It does get etched. Mine is pretty badly etched right now. I need to replace mine. But it allows you to quickly get those off. Normally, these have the bolts, the way they're set up, it's underneath. You have to go from underneath here. See each of those spots right here. Can't even get a good angle on it. Sorry about that. Anyway, those little screws right there, it's a pain in the butt to take this thing off and replace that plastic or do anything you need to do with the glass. So what I did was I just did the mod like a lot of other people have done, and I just drilled a hole through coming up to the surface here and put the screw or the little bolts from the other side and put a first nut underneath there. And then that way it can stay, it's basically just a stud that's sitting up. And I drill through the other side, the plastic here. And so now the bolt just comes up and you do this. A lot of people use those speed screws. You can just twist it real quickly off with your hand. I just have a socket that I use. But again, that works out really well. Super easy to do. Again, tons of videos online for it. So now the dust collector. This is definitely a must. When you think about it, you have a lot of air coming into here. A lot of air. It's got to escape somewhere. There's a lot of pressure in it, so you need some kind of vacuum source, some way to suck in up the regular, the air that's going inside there. There's so I don't know how this works exactly, but there is an area there, and you can see that hole. Air can come out there, but a lot of dust tends to come out if you don't, again, have a vacuum source. Again, because there's lots of dust flying around, it's going to shoot out in the rest of your shop. So you definitely need some kind of vacuum source. So I think what a lot of people do, and what I do as well, is I have my shop vac connected up to it. So there's the shop vac. And I have the hose. You can see I have the hose running up, around, and I made my own, I guess, Vortex, Dust Devil, dust collector, whatever it is. I had some stuff around. Again, it's pretty janky, but it works great. And you can see here I just had some old PVC fittings. Again, there's a lot of videos online. I'm not going to go over how to make it. So that just fits right in there. I just got a box that was the right size. So essentially it just sucks in through there. And notice on the back here, that is an angled cutout. So I basically just cut the PVC at an angle. Again, the video show. And the air comes in. Sorry, this angle's horrible. The air comes in, and it sucks in all the dust, and it swirls around. And it goes to the bottom, and I'll show that in a second. And so here's the shop vac. And so it just kind of press fits in there. It creates great suction and pulls out exactly what I need. So I just turn on the shop vac and turn on the compressor and the light, and I can just start sandblasting. So what's also great about this here is that it also takes the dust out. I mean, that's the whole, it's a dust collector, so that's its purpose. But it takes the dust out. You can kind of see it sucks it up through there. It goes in, and it creates that vortex. But what's nice about this is that it collects all that dust down there. So wasn't even thinking about it. I was just thinking, okay, you can remove dust so your shop doesn't get dusty, that sort of thing. But this is the fine powder stuff. This is the stuff that's swirling around. This is, here, I'm going to pull some out. This is like flour. There's nothing left and there's no cutting power whatsoever. And basically it just swirls around in here. And because it's swirling around and there's a vacuum there, it pulls those dust particles. So essentially what I found is I started off with, was it this is 80 grit glass bead. I should probably try some aluminum oxide. It worked reasonably well, but there's a lot of different media that you can use. I wanted something fairly inert, so I thought glass bead would work well. But yeah, as soon as it becomes dust, it gets sucked up. There's the vacuum hole right there. It gets sucked right up. So essentially I have been filling this up with more from the bucket that I had. And it kind of just goes down naturally. I've emptied out this bucket a couple of times already. It gets down, up here, here, and there, and then I just empty it out into the garbage. So it's just sort of naturally pulling out the grit that's not working. Now this has probably been run through a fair amount. This isn't working super great right now. I can tell that the last many times I've been doing some sandblasting, it just doesn't have the same cutting power it did when I first started, or when I put more a new fresh batch in here. But it works okay. I'll probably just pull it all out at some point here real soon and replace it. But yeah, the vacuum just pulls out the dust, so it's sort of naturally pulling out the grit that's no longer doing anything, because it's not going to do anything if you're blasting some flour at it. It's not going to do much at all. So anyway, so I did that. And then also what's nice about this is super easy to empty out. If you had your shop vac going directly to the sandblasting cabinet, you would wreck these filters pretty quickly. So I pulled this off my shop vac, and I've had this for a while, and that filter is perfectly clean because there's very little getting through from the sandblast, from that flour, from the worn out glass bead. And so this is sort of a dust, but there's not much in here at all. There's a little bit at the bottom, but again, this is not going to get clogged. You're not going to have to replace the bags or the filters on your shop vac. So the dust collector, highly recommend. It works out great. In terms of the actual use of the sandblasting, again, I've been very, very satisfied with it. People talk about, it's not that good. You have to use a metering valve. I haven't really, found that problem or had that problem. There's people, the pickup tube has like a special, like drilling a hole in it to create better suction or something. Again, I haven't had much issues with that. I've just been going, also one other thing. What I found was what happens is that there will be flakes of paint, powder coat and things like that are going to come off whatever you're sandblasting, and there's no screening here. So I basically just took this from the kitchen. It's not going to go back into the kitchen now, but I can just go in here and I can sift through if I have, just real quickly, if I see all that stuff there, that's going to clog up. That's going to clog up the gun. And you can kind of tell when it gets clogged up because you're using it, and you can see the sand come out or the glass bead come out. But when it gets clogged up, you can kind of see it's not really cutting anymore, and it's sort of stopped coming up. And then I know I have too much stuff in the grid, or just enough got in the gun to clog it up. And I think I've seen this in a couple other videos, and this works great. Whatever piece I'm working on, or the wall here, you just press it really hard there, pull the trigger, and it blows back out the pickup tube, and it clears that out. It does. I do that, and like 5 seconds later, it comes right back, and it's good to go. So that's a neat little trick to clear the gun. But again, I haven't had any issues with this, with the pickup or anything like that. And it works great. I work at like between 80 and 100 PSI. And yeah, it works fantastic. Anyway, hopefully this is helpful. Again, just a couple of the mods. There are lots more. People do all kinds of fun stuff and have a much, much nicer setup than I have. I just kind of pulled this all together, just started using it, and just have been super happy with it. Definitely well worth the investment. I think the sandblasting cabinet what was it, 160, 170, 180, something like that. Not too bad at all. And the dust collector was free. I already had a shop vac. I already had a couple lights. And I think I bought that quick connect and the 6-foot tubing, but that's been pretty much it. Other than that, it's been fantastic. Again, hopefully this helps. Thanks.